drink a little wine, no one knows us.
He said, Sarah, Sarah, that's my name, don't wear it out. It's not intentional
Sarah
to
Boone
fall
needed a
asleep,
lawyer.
I swear.
Not malicious.
But he
I fell
said,
asleep.
Not malicious.
But then I fell asleep. I fell asleep.
Please won't you let
Because it
me
makes
out?
it sound like to me like I'm being accused of something that was not intentional. I'm being accused of it.
Not intentional, no
Right where it is.
malicious.
Right
She
down
just
there.
fell asleep
You
and
did
played
it.
for God. He was in the bag of dead and stuff. Not intentional.
And I
Not
can't
an
imagine
accident at
a
all.
system
It will all make sense
that
when
thinks
she
it's an
takes the
aberration.
stand. Oh, Sarah, Sarah.
Now you all think that I had even more in quotes intent to do what I did, which was not intentional.
He said, Sarah, Sarah, that's my name, don't wear it out. It's not intentional to fall asleep, I swear. But he said, Sarah. But he said, Sarah. We said, Sarah, Sarah, Sarah.
Hello everybody, Excited Utterance here, and that made me so happy to be able to play this song again. What I realized though is I had to be in this studio with all this stuff in order to play the song. I didn't really mean to be. I meant to be, I'll show you. I meant to be over here with Mr. Clippy and Mr. Clippy. But I decided at the very last second, I don't care. I'm going into the studio with all of the stuff just so I can play the song because I hadn't moved the song over into this studio. It's StreamYard stuff. Doesn't matter. But the song was the most important thing. Honestly, when I saw there was a motion there today, I was like, I get to play the song. I get to play the song, everybody. Yes, it's happening. It's happening. Hey, Nam. Clippy looking at the nipple. Yeah, and I've got a Clippy fund going, guys. If you want to donate to the Clippy fund, go right ahead. There's some sad Clippies out there. And Helen needs to make a living somehow. Steph is a new member. Thank you, Steph, for rejoining up. Love you very much. And thank you for modding as well. I thought we were Sans Sarah. Now that is a very good comment. We were, temporarily. But what did I say? I said she'd be back and I was right. Wasn't I? Right? I said, I don't think we've heard the last of Sarah Boone. And it didn't take long, did it? It did not take long. Ah, yes, indeed. Moonvale says, cool, you'll be entertaining me whilst I'm working. Well, there are people out there who have other things on their mind today, like, for example, an election, but the results aren't coming in yet. I'll be on, with Dahlia, I'll be on David's stream later when the results start coming in. I'm going to be an official American for a bit. Unless things start, turning into riots, then I'll be an Australian again. Dali's here. Dali. Hey.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. The return of the Boontang.
Yes.
Yeah, KLF. How can you not be here for the return of the Boontang? And Leighton Ricada. Geez, Brad, you're like you're at the traffic lights when you're waiting for a stream to start. It's like, you're 3 seconds late. 3 seconds late. Oh no. Yeah, that was not £98. She definitely needed a lawyer. Now, here's the deal. You've been a member for a month? Oh, yay. Missed you guys the past few days. I know, you've been busy. You've been busy, haven't you? E-Man, this is actually a topic you really like. If you wanted to come on now, you're more than welcome if you're busy. If you're not busy. Like, this could be your appearance if you want it. Like, but you'd have to have, like, headphones and all that stuff going on. It's up to you. Or you can come on the weekend, like you said. Remember that E-Man has special prize from winning the Grand Championship of the Sarah Court and Quiz Boon and Swoon, and will be making an appearance on our stream at some point. So it's up to you, E-Man. If you want to come on, you're more than
he's
welcome.
working.
We'll send you a link. He's what?
He's working right now.
You're working. Well,
Well, next time.
Well, we're gonna have a fun stream on Saturday then, and have E-Man on. It'll be good fun. Can't wait to meet you. All right, popped by to say to like, can't stay, catch you on replay. Okay, Loa, cool. All right, Paul's closing your state in 90 minutes. Ooh, have fun. All right, now what we're doing is we're reading her motion for retrial, and I don't like to rub it in when I'm right, but kind of right, in that pretty much everything we said would be an appellate issue or something that she would bring up as an appellate issue, she's brought up. Some of them are more material than others, but let's whip it out, shall we? Let's whip it out. Because I just love it when these things turn out to be right. Okay. Let us start. And you'll notice that it's not handwritten. So Mr. Owens is still on the case. He's not abandoned her. Good for him. Good for him. So, Darlie, do you want to start? And I won't make you read the whole thing. We'll take it in turns.
Sure. Defendant's motion for a new trill comes now. The defendant comes now. Sarah Boone by and through counsel. And pursuant to Rule 3.600, Florida Rules of Criminal Procedure, files this motion for new trial, stating in support thereof the following. Defendant was found guilty as charged of second-degree murder on October 25th. The instant motion is timely filed pursuant to the Rule 3.6. The defendant asserts that she is entitled, period, to a new trial under Rule 3.6 on the following grounds. I, the court erred in ruling that the defendant was not entitled to court-appointed counsel. I, the court erred in denying the undersigned counsel's motions for continuance. I, the court erred in failing to grant a new trial when the alleged victim's family caused an emotional outburst in open court in the
Not an emotional outburst.
of the jury prior to deliberation. If the trial court failed to disallow the opinion testimony of the state's rebuttal expert witness, Dr. Tonya Werner, MD, after the state failed to disclose before trial that the witness had formed a new opinion, and the state committed prosecutorial misconduct by essentially making a second closing argument instead of a rebuttal argument.
Okay, so there's 5 reasons why she thinks she deserves a new trial. Let's just start with the first 2, which I think are the most compelling reasons. And that is that the court erred in ruling that the defendant was not entitled to court-appointed counsel. That's how I got myself back interested in the case. I just thought that that was ridiculous. Not only that Kranik made that order, but also that he didn't explain that ruling to the defendant properly. He just said, well, you put yourself in this situation. You've annoyed all these lawyers. You've burned through all these lawyers. You have made it impossible for them to represent you. And I've warned you. I said to you that you would end up with no court-appointed defender, and that will be your own doing. What he didn't do was make it really clear to her what that meant in practice. She's incarcerated and she will have no access to anything in order to prepare her case, and she would be left with no time either. And as we saw when we watched Mr. Tellis be warned at length for half an hour, and he is a lawyer, by the judge over in Las Vegas, she put it on the record how clearly she warned him against going pro se. Judge Kranick did not do that. He threw her in the deep end. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of case law to back up that it was not a strong decision on Judge Kranick's part to do that. Now, point 2, the court erred in denying undersigned counsel's multiple motions for continuance. Yes, that's the other one I kept talking about. At the point when Owens came on, he was the only lawyer to not get a continuance. The only one. And he was left scrambling and not able to prepare his case properly. The rest of these reasons I find a little hard to swallow, but let's go on. Does Kranick rule on this motion or the appeal court? Darley says, yeah, I believe it goes to Kranick first. I can't even wrap my head around that it goes to Kranick first. I don't even think he'd read it. Like, he'd skim over it, go, yeah, ridiculous, and denied, of course.
I mean, yeah, and like with Alec Baldwin, Carrie Morrissey keeps writing those motions to get her decision to be reversed. So she can try him again, and the judge is just like, no, you're not getting a new hearing. No, we're done.
I am done with you.
She's so fed up.
Yeah, but it needs to go to a higher court.
Yeah, and then you
if
can't
it's going to
appeal.
have any effect at all. All right, let's keep going. Law and argument. Argument 1. The trial court erred in holding the defendant was not entitled to court-appointed counsel. So in the above styled and numbered case, the defendant had approximately 7 court-appointed attorneys prior to the undersigned counsel taking her case. Okay, so they've said 7 here. Undersigned counsel took on the above case because he was concerned that Ms. Boone would not have an attorney to represent her at trial. The above case was very complex, even for a seasoned trial attorney who was the public defender of the First Judicial Circuit for years, as well as having a thriving private practice. It was apparent to undersigned trial counsel that Ms. Boone would be grossly ill-prepared and unequipped to handle a trial in this matter, or in fact to handle any other phase of the trial without counsel. See this part, grossly ill-prepared and unequipped to handle a trial in this manner. She was. She did pretty well, I thought, considering, but she was destined for absolutely no way she could have had a fair trial if she was defending herself. And how Kranick was going to just allow her to go forth like that blows my mind. Or in fact to handle any other phase of trial without counsel. Both the Sixth Amendment as well as Rule 3.111, Florida Rules of Criminal Procedure, guarantee an indigent defendant the right to appointed counsel. See Bowden v. State 150, SO 3D 264, blah 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 blah, State v. Kelly, and this is where I get you to help me, but I'm not going to do it. There appear to be two exceptions to this precedent. If the defendant physically harms her counsel, now that didn't happen.
Just emotionally.
Just emotionally, yeah, she just hurt their fifis. And 2, if the trial court certifies that the defendant will not be incarcerated if found guilty, i.e. a judge trial. Okay, so if it were a bench trial, and if the trial court certifies that the defendant will not be incarcerated if found guilty, but that's not the case because it's not a bench trial. Should the court determine that the defendant is not entitled to a court-appointed counsel due to misbehavior on the part of the defendant, the court must follow a process which protects the individual's right to due process as well as the defendant's right to the assistance of counsel. This is very interesting. In the instant case, undersigned trial counsel would assert that Ms. Boone's behaviour did not rise to the level of misconduct to warrant a waiver of the right to court-appointed counsel, and if the court determines that she waived her right to court-appointed counsel, then the court failed to warn or inform her that constituted misbehaviour would result in the waiver of the right to court-appointed counsel. Thank you, Mr. Owens. Finally, someone has put this into writing properly. This is great. And this is what, hey, Young, this is what actually was talked about by True Crime Deep Dive, or what's his name? His name eludes me right now, but the lawyer who went and visited her, and we did a stream about his discussion about his talks with her, and he said the same thing. He said that the court failed to warn her of her that what she was doing constituted misbehavior would result in a waiver of her right to court-appointed counsel, failed to warn her to the extent to which she would be inhibited to
hurting her
proceed
case
to trial. Yes, exactly. Under controlling precedents, failure of the court to appoint trial counsel can result in a motion for new trial to be granted. See Figueroa Sanbria versus State, 366 SO3D 1035, and Wilson versus State. I've seen that one referenced already, but not this Figueroa Sanabria. I'll look at that one. Under controlling precedents, Rule 3.111, Florida Rules of Criminal Procedure, and the Sixth Amendment, the defendant, through counsel, moves the court for a new trial. I feel like this one, and potentially this one, are the most likely to be looked at by an appellate court if it gets that far. Okay, do you want to read out argument 2?
The court shall not deprive a defendant of his/her right to counsel of their own choice. Failure of the trial court to grant a continuance will result in a new trial should the court deny said motion for a continuance by new counsel. See Perozzo v. State, McKenzie v. State, Jones v. page 2 of 5.
Okay.
Scroll.
Deal
v. State.
Deal v. State.
In the instant case, when undersigned counsel came on board, the case was 4 years old. Undersigned counsel filed his notice of appearance on August 30th, 2024. This gave counsel 45 days to prepare for a second-degree trial. He immediately and aggressively began to prepare for trial. Undersigned counsel did his best to prepare for trial by traveling to Orlando from Milton on multiple occasions, both for meeting with Miss Boone and attending multiple hearings. Despite his best attempts to prepare for trial, it was impossible to adequately prepare for unseen issues arising during trial. A prime example of this would be reviewing hundreds of pages of text from Miss Boone C's cell phone, viewing all records of prior contact of Miss Boone and the alleged victim with law enforcement, including inadmissible hearsay by the alleged victim to law enforcement regarding Miss Boone being the aggressor at times. Counsel, for all purposes, closed his law practice down to prepare for the trial, but due to the short time frame, even with the assistance of other attorneys and that naughty Shelby, were simply logistically unable to be as prepared for trial as he would have liked to be.
It's not Shelby's fault.
Well, she had a bikini pageant to train for. And as Ms. Boone was entitled to, under the controlling cases cited supra, The court's failure to grant undersigned counsel's motions for continuance should result in a new trial.
Okay, I feel like a lot of this stuff is kind of him blowing his own horn, and and it'll be seen as a bit whiny. So, okay, he knew all along it was a complex case. People will say you knew what you were getting into, Mr. Owens, and it's not anyone's fault that you came from Milton up north and you had to go to Orlando. So I don't really think that should be taken into account so much. But why are you not bringing up? Yeah, why? Okay, so that's the end of that argument. Why are you not bringing up the fact that every single other lawyer got a continuance?
Yeah.
Hello, is that it? This is the argument for a continuance. So he's talking about how he was inconvenienced and how he had to work very hard and he only got 45 days. This is not a great argument. This is not a great argument. Everybody else got a continuance. Everyone.
Nothing.
Like every time there was a change of counsel, the court provided time for them to adjust, orient themselves, become familiar with the discovery. But in this instance, Kranick was so pig-headed, he was like, nope, we're going to trial on this day. Done. That's it. There was nothing from him. He was letting his frustration get the better of him.
Yeah.
That was it. So I don't feel like that is a great argument, honestly. Argument 3. And hey, Tony, yes, it's mentor lawyer. His name eluded me for a moment. His name's James.
So
I can't pronounce his second name.
the court erred when it denied a motion for new trial due to an emotional outburst in the presence of the jury. Prior to jury deliberations, the alleged victim's family's members began to audibly and visibly get upset and departed the courtroom. Undersigned counsel timely moved for
Oh, wait on. I'll be Judge Kranick now, shall I?
Sorry.
I'll interrupt everything and go, bless you.
Thank you.
I'm sure there's t-shirts and mugs and all sorts of crap with that written on it. Mr. Best Judge in the world.
Let's see, where the hell was I?
Hey, Mads.
The court did not give any curative instructions or address whether the outburst could adversely affect the jury's deliberations.
Oh, you had an outburst.
I did. Rawr.
Yeah.
Florida appellate courts have held that the failure of the court to grant a curative instruction or a mistrial can result in the necessity of granting a new trial. Neber v. State, Smith v. State, Colin v. State. Rawr. The court is unable to determine if this...
You weirdo.
if this outburst affected the jury's decision because no inquiry was made. Under controlling precedents, the defendant is entitled to a new trial.
Oh, dear. Okay, so does everyone remember when that happened? Right? So it was during the prosecution's closing argument, and he played, was it cacciatore, chicken dish? He played the... Oh, you got it?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, we're gonna play it. So this happened.
The audio cuts out, but they do pan to the family.
All right. Yes, Des. This is why I was like, "What the hell are you doing? Why is he roaring over after Colin?" Okay. Hey, Emu.
There's audio out there.
Yeah.
So that's when the family starts making outbursts and sobbing.
Yeah.
They, I guess, keep playing the video,
Yeah.
and then the camera guy pans over,
Mm-hmm.
and the family, yeah, you can see they're pretty
Oh, yeah.
emotional.
Okay. How
And they
dare
all,
you have emotion?
this is no longer the Ace, the helpful place.
Oh, that's right. Judge said, if you can't contain yourself. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Remember? I was like, George could.
So,
Oops. Jeez, Judge, you could have better choice of words. Dear. Lordy. All right, so that's there. That's one of the reasons why
Yeah.
she's going to the trial, because that happened.
so
Right. And then, if I remember correctly, jury sent out or not? They must have been sent out. Oh, it was after the.
no, he waited till after.
He waited till after, and then he chucked an absolute spaz.
Yeah.
So Owens chucked a complete spaz about the fact that there was that emotional outburst. I give it 1 to 10 odds. Will anyone bet me that Sarah ain't getting no new trial? That's pretty good odds.
Yeah.
I think it's probably far less likely than that, Mads. Anyway, okay, next one. So argument 4. We've already gotten through 3.
Yeah.
Go.
The
Argument
court
4.
erred in allowing the opinion of the state's expert not previously disclosed. The trial court failed to disallow the opinion testimony of the state's rebuttal expert witness, Dr. Tonya Werner, MD, after the state failed to disclose before trial that the witness had formed a new opinion relating to whether the defendant perceived an imminent threat at the time of the offense. This issue...
Okay, hang on, wait. Do we remember this bit, right? So, Dr. Werner was the defense witness, and she was... state's witness, and she was... Oh, hey, beautiful. Hey, beautiful waterfall. How's it going? Yeah, so state's witness, and she only had ever met with Sarah for a couple of hours, and had done her deposition the week prior, so prior to the hurricane. And she said one thing during the deposition, and then she had supposedly changed her mind or left her opinion open, and said that to the state, but they had not made the defense aware of that. And there was an argument over a potential Brady violation. So a discovery violation. Actually, there was a Richardson hearing over it in court, if you recall. So I don't understand, okay, so the Richardson hearing happened in court. It was decided that it was not a discovery violation. So now he's pushing further, I suppose. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, he's just preserving this for appeal. I mean, it's kind of a weak argument, but...
Yeah. Okay, so we got to... Where were you reading up to? So you got to formed a new opinion?
The state committed prosecutorial misconduct by failing to disclose this new opinion as agreed in the deposition mentioned above. In addition, the state's expert opinion on whether the defendant perceived an imminent threat necessary for the justifiable use of force in battered spouse syndrome testified to before the jury was improper. Dr. Tonya Werner admitted she had not listened to the defendant's testimony before the jury before forming her opinion on the ultimate issue of fact, which, yeah, that's... In addition, Dr. Warner failed to listen to the testimony of Dr. Michael Brandon and Dr. Julie Harper before expressing her opinion.
Was
For-
she supposed to?
No, but she can, and it would help her. You know, Sarah Boone testifies. You'd think she'd watch that, and because that was an expert, or that was a rebuttal witness. So
No. Not Sarah. But she failed to listen to the testimony of Dr. Michael Brannon and Dr.
Oh yeah, they're
Harper.
experts as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So, was she supposed to listen to the other experts?
No, but if you don't, then you're not as prepared as you could be, and you can be impeached on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I'm just not sure whether this here is relevant to her getting
I think, yeah. Furthermore,
There's just a few extra bits and pieces thrown in here that just seem to be muddying the waters a little bit. So, keep going.
experts' testimony on this of whether the defendant perceived an imminent threat at the time of the event violates the providence of the jury. Witnesses are prevented from expressing their conclusions when the opinion only tells the jury how to decide the case and does not help the jury decide what occurred. When a witness is asked to express an opinion that applies a legal standard to a set of facts, the opinion testimony is generally inadmissible.
Hang on, just wait. When a witness is asked to express an opinion that applies a legal standard to a set of facts, the opinion testimony is generally inadmissible. When a witness is asked to express an opinion that applies a legal standard to a set of facts, the opinion testimony...
They can't, like, say, is this... Like, if Bronca's a self-defense expert witness, he cannot say, in my expert opinion, this defendant is not guilty.
Yeah, okay.
But he can go and say that what he did, how he defended himself at this exact moment would be he was in fear for his life, or he was allowed to use maybe not that, but like
he can't use that. Yeah, that one. What you just said. So he can't say that he was allowed to use lethal force.
Yeah.
Because that's a legal standard.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay.
So, does not permit a witness to testify to legal conclusions or express an opinion, blah, blah, blah. Testimony may interfere with the function of the trial judge to deter... Okay, you can keep going.
Cool. Argument 5.
The prosecutor committed misconduct by using rebuttal argument to make a second closing argument. The state committed prosecutorial misconduct by essentially making a second closing argument instead of a rebuttal argument. Counsel for the state made a second closing argument because technically a rebuttal, you're supposed to only comment on things the defense brought up in their closing.
I know. However, is he going to explain that? By
essentially making a second closing argument instead of a rebuttal argument. Counsel for the state made a second closing argument posed as a rebuttal. Yes. Wherefore, premises considered, the defendant seeks the relief herein as well as any other relief to which he may be entitled. Defendant requests a hearing in this matter. Okay, and that's it.
So he didn't give any details of how
Nope.
he meant that to be. So what did he do? Like, what exactly did Mr. J do that was providing a whole new set of facts?
Yeah, that was a little weak there.
It's very weak. I think they say if she was in fear of her life and had a mental episode, but not in that constitute self-defense or guilty, not guilty opinion. Yeah. Okay. So you're talking about that point that we were discussing a moment ago, Nem. Thank you for that. I'm just wondering if this is all just a little bit sort of thrown together by Mr. Owens. Because he's not really getting anything out of this now, is he? And yeah, it's all a little bit hodgepodge, don't you think? I think he could have written this a lot better.
At least that last one.
And
Well, I
the
guess a
whole
lot of
thing-
it, yeah.
the whole thing is, it's not up to his normal standard at
No.
all. Like, he wrote some much better motions prior to trial. This one here is
Yeah.
a bit pissy. Yeah. It's like, well, Sarah probably could have written it herself better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like James Owens with the little sort of sign paintery font to kind of make it look like he hand wrote it. Was that yeah, sign script or something? I think it's called.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Counsel for Sarah Boone, talk or text. Let's call him.
Huh.
Let's call him, guys. Got to feed the children. Nah, we're pretty much done here. So, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Is there anything there at all? I think number 1 and 2. 1 and 2 are...
Yeah.
But the way he wrote number 2 was... It was just like talking about himself and his own issues, like his own problems with getting to Southern Florida and... or Orlando, and how the case itself was complex and he should have gotten a continuance, but he didn't say why. Like, he didn't say what it was that was unfair about not getting a continuance. So just that it was inconvenient. Like, in my opinion, there's a far better reason to have a continuance. His client,
Yeah.
all of her previous attorneys had a continuance whenever there was a changeover. So why is it any different when we're 2 months out from trial? Why is it any difference? That's stupid. And also, Argument one is pretty good. Argument 1, counsel took on the above case because he was concerned Ms. Boone would not have an attorney to represent her at trial. The above case is very complex, even for a seasoned trial attorney. It was apparent to undersigned trial counsel that Ms. Boone would be grossly ill-prepared and unequipped to handle a trial in this matter, or in fact to handle any other phase of the trial but without counsel. Both the Sixth Amendment as well as Rule 3.111, Florida Rules of Criminal Procedure, guarantee an indigent defendant the right to appointed counsel. Yeah, and the defendant didn't physically harm or threaten to harm his or her counsel. That's true. And should the court determine that, hang on, I'll highlight this. Should the court determine that the defendant is not entitled to court-appointed counsel due to misbehavior on the part of the defendant, the court must follow a process to protect the individual's right to process. Yeah, and that didn't happen. As far as I can see, it did not happen. Defense can argue about prosecutor misconduct. Well, they're trying to. But that's in relation to a discovery violation, and I don't think that one's going to hold up. I don't know what they think they'd even do with a new trial, come up with a whole new defense strategy story. Yeah, beautiful.
Maybe
That's
try to get another
thing.
plea deal.
Yeah, I'd plea deal after you've been found guilty.
Well, if they get a new trial, then
That's true, actually. If you get a new trial, that means that your conviction's overturned, right?
yeah. So they could, in theory, give Boone another plea deal for like time served, even.
Imagine that.
I mean, assuming she serves a few years in jail, and yeah,
Imagine.
I doubt that'll happen, but
Wouldn't that be a win for the Boondock?
another win for the Boon.
Wouldn't that be? Wow. Yeah, that's a really good point. Beautiful waterfall, and I've been thinking about that, like, because like when I woke up and I saw that there'd been this motion, I was like, okay, let's just. I was lying in bed and I was thinking, imagine if there was a new trial, what would she even argue? Like, surely she's got to abandon this battered spouse thing. Surely that's just got to be in the bin, right? Like,
Yeah.
would she go back to it was an accident?
I think that would probably be the best one.
It's got to be.
I was drunk. It was an accident.
Only way that I could see that this could go her way.
And then all the horrible text messages about her would not come in. Because the only reason they came in was during rebuttal, because they brought up character evidence of George and him being abusive. So then they could show, no, actually it's Sarah that was a piece of crap.
Yep.
And those texts were brutal for her.
They could have a shot at misdemeanor if they dropped the self-defense shenanigan. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a misdemeanor, though. Is it?
No, one of them I think was a misdemeanor.
Wow.
Or it was like 1 year in jail.
What? Imagine
Yeah, the
that.
lowest charge
Imagine
was, like really nothing.
people
and then there
would
was
be
manslaughter.
So mad. If they overturned her conviction and then she got away with a misdemeanor, imagine that. Like, the seethe would be incredible. And I would just have to, like, Justin Smith would just have
Thank
to
you,
come into
Waterfall.
my chat, and that'd be the end of it.
Yeah, it was
Culpable
culpable
negligence was
negligence.
the lowest. Oh, imagine. I'd just have to be like, guess what? There's news, Justin. She's not guilty.
If she takes it. But yes, Ronnie, I agree.
A new trial where they aim for a manslaughter conviction, the defense needs to accept that Sarah are not getting away scot-free. She needs to accept.
Yeah. Owens
She
has
needs to
accepted.
accept. Oh, yeah. I think every one of her attorneys, Owens, everybody who's spoken to her probably
Yeah.
accepts it, but her.
I mean, Owens
think-
and her, both of them have screamed at each other in jail. Owens, they had
Yeah.
actually intervened and asked Sarah repeatedly, is she scared of Owens? Like, should he be allowed to come? And because Owens was screaming at her.
I think maybe it's the other way around. Yeah. Sarah wanted to go this way. She got what she wanted. And like Owen said, and Sean has said it, David has said it, so many of our defense attorney friends have said it. There are some clients who you just can't get through to. They just believe in their heart, no matter what, that this is how it is. This is how it went down. I am not to blame. And if that's how they feel, you can't talk them around. And you know how people are. Like, there are some people who they're just really stuck in their ways.
Yeah.
And you can't reason with them. Sarah thought she'd be acquitted, that everyone would agree that George was despicable, and she acted in a righteous manner. I can see how she thought that people would see things in George.
Yeah.
He was no angel,
No.
but people get really clouded in their own little echo chamber of their mind, and they only see they only see things from their own point of view, and they just can't step out of it and look at it from other people's shoes. And it's kind of like YouTube. It's kind of like the internet. It's kind of like when you get your sort of teams and people start to speak the same words because they've been hearing all the people saying, oh, like with the whole Rick Allen thing right now. It's like, oh well, he's guilty, or he's not guilty, he can't possibly be, and then people start repeating the same words over and over again, and it becomes true. She's got that, but it's in her own mind. She's got it in her own mind.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything wrong. It's all him. Right? And it just repeats and it repeats and it repeats in her own mind, and she can't stop hearing it. She just can't stop hearing it. Yeah, she's got like a team of people in her own mind cheering on the same words. And anyone else is a troll.
Of course.
Right? It's like the people who are trying to tell her that, no, you should go for manslaughter, no, you should listen because they have all this stuff on you. It's like they're the trolls that are coming into the chat in her mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Sarah told herself a story, probably one that allows her not to face up to the choices she made. It's not surprising. Yeah. Most people do try to see themselves from other people's perspectives. Sarah do not. Yeah. I think it's an unusual trait to just avoid facing what other people think of you at all. Yeah, most people care a bit what people think. Most people care a lot what people think of them. A lot of people care too much what people think of them. Whereas Sarah is just like, this is the truth of who I am and what's going on and what the situation is, and everyone should just believe that. And if you don't, my mind's shut off to it. And apparently, like, she actually was shocked at the guilty verdict, and I believe that. Sure. When Owen said that she was shocked, I believe him.
Yeah. That
she was shocked, because I truly do think that she is completely unaware of this whole groundswell of belief in her guilt, and that people actually really can see through all of this. Yeah.
Yep.
I think she knew it was an accident, but after seeing herself in the video, she needed an explanation on why she acted like a monster. She doesn't believe to be evil, so she convinced herself. And I actually don't think she's evil, right? So when people say she's evil, it's kind of like when Andrea has said a couple times now when she's been speaking recently that, like, she's defended thousands of people, and the amount of monsters in human skin, as she puts it, she can count on one hand.
Yeah.
Because most people, like defendants, criminal defendants, they're all just normal people who've done something wrong. Something terrible, usually, or often, but something wrong.
Yeah.
Everyone has the capacity to do something terrible. And
especially Hella.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you don't know. Just watch out. You're lucky I'm not over there.
Yeah.
So I have a problem with putting people in boxes and going, this person's evil.
Or suitcases.
Yeah, put suitcases, boxes. I don't think she's necessarily evil. I think she's got some problems.
Delusional.
I think she's got some serious problems going on. This lady.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, someone's ended up on the wrong side of those problems.
Also.
Yeah. More than one person, actually, not just George.
True. Her kid.
Her son, her ex-husband,
bastard.
families, all of, not just the families of the victim, but her family as well.
And
You always
Sarah,
gotta
who
remember
doesn't
the
get
families.
alimony anymore?
No, I don't think so. Evil or Sarah just lived a too sheltered life. She goes from having her parents provide and then Brian. Even after divorce, Brian provided for her. Yeah. Providing for yourself requires you to put yourself in other people's shoes. Yes. Yes. Yeah, e.g., you cannot run a grocery store without putting yourself in the shoes of your potential customers. Yep, they fail. Otherwise, any shop or any business that doesn't look at their service from the customer's point of view, they fail.
Yeah.
You're right. You cannot apply for a job without putting yourself in the shoes of a potential employer. Yep. You're so right, Mads. You're so right. This is a good discussion. I think she was very shocked considering she thought all those videos of her berating George were helpful to her. She just doesn't have the ability to view her behavior objectively. And that's actually, whilst putting someone in a suitcase is a really unusual thing to do, not being able to view your behavior objectively, I think is it's not that unusual.
Yeah.
Right? Like I've met tons of people who can't look at their behavior objectively, who are like so completely unaware of how they're behaving, of like that they're so oblivious to their own silly behavior, to their ways, to why they're pissing people off. And then they just continue doing it, and yet everything is everyone else's fault all the time, and they're always the victim. I've met tons of people like that, but they don't necessarily put people in suitcases, or even commit crimes. So I think like that trait in itself is not that uncommon. Yeah. Ricardo from drugs is unable to view his own behavior right now. Yeah. That happens.
Yeah.
I understand she doesn't want to see herself from other people's perspective, but I can see her desperation into making the other see her perspective. Yeah. Nobody understands. They just consider a monster. Yeah. And this is why, like, I find this really interesting, because I feel like it's something that people don't bother to really look at. Like, they just go, oh, she's evil, or she's crazy, she's delulu, she's this, she's that, and they don't care enough or have enough empathy to look at her situation and go, well, why? Like, why is she doing that? And is there any more to it? And in the end, I came to the decision that she did deserve to be put away, probably for the rest of her life. She probably did deserve the second-degree murder charge, but it took me till I saw all of that stuff, and I wanted to see all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to hear what her argument was, and I'm glad I got to hear it in the end, because sometimes people have these strange personality, I won't call them defects, but quirks, and you gotta dig past them to get to the truth, and I feel like we did.
Yeah.
And just like David says, it's not illegal to be an asshole. And she was acting like an asshole, and that was obstructing us from getting to the truth. But I think we did. I think we got as much as we could to the truth, and it wasn't up to the judge to say, well, you just have to go defend yourself, and therefore we would have ended up not seeing so much of that evidence. We really wouldn't have. We wouldn't have seen a ton of that evidence. Yeah, it's easy to be dismissive. It's difficult to understand someone. That's why most don't. Yeah, and they just throw people in the bin. They just go, too bad. She deserves it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a narcissist.
Right. Yeah, she's a narcissist. A narcissist. All right, cool. Sweet. All right, thank you guys. That was fun.
Yeah.
We'll see if we hear more about that. I wonder. And I get to play the song again.
That's all that matters.
It's all that matters that we get to play the song again. It's the new N word. Yeah, it is. All right, happy election day, everybody. We'll see you
Yes.
over on David's stream at, what time is that?
8 Eastern.
I think it's 9, isn't it? Oh, is
No,
it
8.
Is it really?
Yep.
Wow, it's 11 a.m. my time. Yeah. All right, and I'll be over in Andrea's chat in the meantime.
Sounds
Alrighty. See you guys. Thank you all. Have a lovely boon day.
good. Boontastic.
It'll be a boontastic day, all right? What a great way to start the evening. Boo. Hang on. Where are we? Song.
Her name was Helen. She was an Aussie. She was a fake lawyer from the future. She got on YouTube and made some live streams. The co-host is Donnie and she dances sometimes. The words are always so loud and because she's an 803.